Tom Wayland, anime voice actor, director, best known as a producer of current voice directing for Pokemon as well as other projects.
Mm-hmm.
So first off, congratulations on over 10 years now in the anime industry. That's a great victory.
Yeah, it's been pretty fun.
What was the first convention you ever attended?
Okay, the first convention I ever went to was Icon, which is in Long Island at, I think, SUNY Stony Brook. And I believe that was in 2001. I think I've been doing this a little over a year. And yeah, and Icon, for people who don't know, is not just an anime convention. It's really a sci-fi convention, and then there's anime stuff that they did there. So I went to that one when I was working for Central Park Media.
Okay. What's your favorite part of going to anime conventions? What do you enjoy most?
I really like. I've made a lot of friends at conventions, doing conventions, and some of them are people who were like fans that I've gotten to know. Some of them are convention staff, people that I've gotten to know, and then of course there's all the other guests, and especially out of town guests. The New York people I see, often, because pretty much anybody who does voice acting in New York works with me at some point. But like getting to see the actors from Texas, the people from LA. So it's fun. It's a nice gathering of friends, and we'll always end up getting together and going out and partying and having a good time. So that's my favorite thing.
Well, it's a lot of people say one of the reasons they keep going to conventions is it's one of their few chances to see friends from all over the country and even all over the world.
Yeah, I totally agree.
What's something you wish you'd see more conventions do?
Interactive events or workshops. I'm not so into the, hey, here I am, come kiss my ass thing. Granted, I am not on the level of fame as some of the other people. Many people know who I am, and everyone has seen my work because I work on Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! And all of that stuff, which is so ubiquitous. But I like to be able to do things at conventions. So something that I've done at conventions before is like live readings, where we've gotten like a manga or a comic. I did an event for Neil Gaiman. I don't know if you know Neil Gaiman, but creator of Sandman, and he's written a ton of books, and he's pretty amazing. And they actually they got in touch with me, and they're like, hey, could you put a live reading together for Neil for the 20th anniversary of Sandman? And I was like, are you kidding me? Of course. And I got a bunch of voice actors together, and we did a performance of a couple of issues of Sandman. So like things like that, I would like to see more of, to be able to do more of. I know you can have licensing issues with things like that, which obviously is a pretty big hurdle to get over. But live events like that, workshops where you're actually sort of doing things, teaching people. I have often done things where I would bring bring a portable Pro Tools kit in, and we would have actors come up, or rather fans come up and try their hand at voice acting. So interactive things like that are fun because I don't mind answering the questions about like how did I get into this, how do you get into this, all of that stuff. But I answer the same questions at every convention, so it's nice to be able to do other things, and I think it's more fun for the attendees, So.
Do you have any particular stories from conventions? You've obviously done quite a few. That a favorite memory or funniest story that sticks out in your mind?
Yeah, I've had a lot of weird experiences and fun experiences. I like working with the fans. You never know what you're going to get, and certainly, are you from New England?
Yes.
Great. Am I sure?
I'll look beyond it.
Anyway, Yankees going to sweep their playoffs, by the way. But at a bunch of cons, but especially up there's the Dick and Buster show, which is really, really popular and like so much fun. I have such a great time doing that show. Of course, it's an interactive show where people in the audience come up and do things. And I have certain memories from that show, things that I'm not going to forget, where people come up and just do something so crazy and hilarious. Because that was always, to me, that always felt like it was like anime Jackass. And I'm Johnny Knoxville, and the entire audience is like the rest of my crew, like Ben and Steve-O and Dave England and all those guys, and they just come up and do any kind of weird, crazy thing that I ask them to. So I've had a good time with that. You know, I did a convention in, you know, Gen Con is the nation's largest gaming convention. And for a little bit, and I've been a guest at Gen Con like the last, I don't know, 4 or 5 years. This year I was not able to go, unfortunately, but I'm pretty sure I'll be back this year. But for a couple of years they did Gen Con SoCal, which was the Southern Californian version, and it never really took off, which is too bad because it was like towards the end of November when the weather gets really crappy here, and it was like 80 degrees there, they fly me out, you know. But I remember they had a big game of like, kind of like laser tag with all the guests at the end, and it was, there was this like football field size field, and there were like 8-foot high, like inflatable shapes, like pyramids and cubes and things, like everywhere that you could like hide in and move around, and everybody had like, more like you know, Black Ops style, like automatic weapons, machine guns and sniper rifles and things like that. And you had the headband with sensors on it, and your gun had a sensor on it, and it was like 2 teams. And we ended up doing that, and it was because there was like a pop culture aspect to that convention. Some of the guests were like not anime people, so one of the guests was Richard Hatch, who was Apollo in the like 1979 Battlestar Galactica. And this is when he had been pushing some show, something that he had created that over years he had put this thing together, and Battlestar Galactica was back on TV, and I think he was trying to work his way back in it, which he managed to do. But he was like this self-promotion machine. But it was fun, so we were fighting each other, and I chose to kind of single him out as my target. So I was calling him Starbuck. And I'd shout at him. I'm like, you know, Starbuck, what? And he just started to get so angry at me. He's like, will you stop doing that? He's like, I'm not Starbuck. Will you stop it? You know, I'd yell at him, he'd get mad, and then I'd pop out from behind a corner like, shoot him and laugh and run away. So like that was kind of a funny moment. So antagonizing this poor dude, and like I loved that show as a little kid. So it's like, yeah, you were a hero, and now I'm killing you. You know, so like that was a good time. You know, the thing I did, like I said, for Neil Gaiman that's one of the highlights of my career, absolutely, because it was for him, and he, you know, he was there, and we talked and hung out, and I'd always loved his work, and I was like a little nervous because I'm like, oh geez, what if he's a dick? I'm like, it'll ruin everything. But he was like the guy that I wished he would be. You know, I mean, he was just so great, and he really enjoyed what we had done, and so that was fun. You know, I mean, those are some good memories. I mean, besides that, it's just a lot of like crazy parties and stuff. I mean, that's before I got into doing this stuff. I did rock and roll, and I just, you know, that was my job for a little while. I just played music and, you know, toured around a little bit and stuff like that, and just did my rock star thing. So when I'm at conventions, I get to do that, you know, for a weekend here and there, and, you know.
Yeah. So you mentioned, you know, conventions are all out of play. And so speaking of work, what's some of the difference between working as a voice actor and working as a director for voice recordings and voiceovers?
Well, you know, being a director on a project, it's a full-time thing, you know, or at least many more hours, because directing a show like Pokemon pretty much never stops, you know? I mean, a season of Pokemon is often like 52 episodes, which means there's a new one out every week. You don't necessarily just work on an episode a week. I mean, some weeks you'll work on more or less or whatever, but, you know, for every episode where an actor may come in and work for 2 hours, you know, you're going to work for 20, you know? It's nice to be the boss. Not that the director is the uber boss. You're not, but you're in charge of all the actors. And have a lot of input with casting and things like that. Like, I enjoy all of that. Being an actor is fun. I mean, it's, you know, you get to be a little sillier and goofier sometimes. They certainly get all the attention, you know. I mean, this is not going with every actor who does this sort of thing across the country. I mean, some people are very busy, but like probably, you know, I work more than any actor does because I direct, you know, and I also act Whereas if you're just an actor, you know, you're doing a couple hours here and a couple hours there, and you know, maybe you're scrambling for your next gig a little bit, and that can be that can be a little nerve-wracking, you know. So, I mean, I like doing both. I'm glad I get to do both. If I didn't, you know, need money, I think I would just continue to act for fun. But as far as having a job, being a director is a really great job. You know?
Do you ever find yourself being a little more critical of yourself when you look at something as doing acting work because you're a director or anything like that?
Sort of. Not necessarily critical of myself, but maybe just critical of the process because, like, I mean, I'm lucky that the people I work with, you know, when I'm an actor, the shows that I've been in, generally, you know what they're doing and they're good, and everybody brings something different to the process. I mean, other directors, you know, work differently than me. Some of them are more similar, but you know, but everybody's kind of has their approach that works. But I have been involved in projects where clearly the people I was working with, I'm like, man, you guys don't know what the hell you're doing, you know? And in that case, I am, you know, then I'm a little more critical of my performance because it's like, you're not letting me give you what I need, or the script was not adapted right, so you're making me read these lines that don't make any sense. And you know what I mean? So then it's like, I don't feel like this is representing me well as an actor because of these other things. That doesn't happen often, but it does happen. I'm sure it's happened to everybody in this business. You know, so I mean, then, you know, then it's with things like that, it's like, well, this might not go on my resume, you know? But then there's other gigs that I'm like, I'm happy to just yak all about, you know, with people. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, I direct myself a bunch too. So I've had to learn to be critical of myself in that way, to like look and listen and just, you know, and not, but not also not like nitpick too much because there's a practicality side to it. You know, if I'm directing myself or something, I can't be spending twice as much time with me as I would with somebody else, you know.
And lastly, what's your favorite part about working with the anime industry?
I don't know. I mean, it's creative and fun. I do like going to conventions, and it is kind of, you know, the coolest thing now these days is when my kids' friends find out what I do. And they're like, oh, really? You know, and I'm like, that's right, you know, and I got to like put my son, Henry, has been in a couple episodes of Pokemon, like I've thrown him in on bits, and he's good, like he's doing well. You know, he doesn't play lead roles, but he'll be like, you know, here comes this kid who has like 3 Qs, and the last episode he did, it was my character and his character having an interaction. And he did really well, and he really enjoyed it, and then he can go tell all his friends, hey, I'm going to be on TV this week. And they'll, you know, tune in and catch him. So, I mean, I think my kids think what I do is cool. I really hope they do, because like that is it's nice to hear from fans, but if my kids are like, wow, this is really great, that's better than anything. So, you know, if it impresses their friends, and that works out good for my boys, then that's good stuff. So it's been fun.
Well, great. Thank you for taking the time to talk with us. And you can see more about Tom Wayland and his past and future conventions appearances on AnimeCons.com.
Yeah.